In the world of gospel music, few names shine as brightly as Jonathan McReynolds. Known for his soulful voice, heartfelt lyrics, and a transparent faith that connects deeply with millions, Jonathan has long carried the reputation of being a young man fully committed to his music, his ministry, and his God. Yet, even the brightest lights sometimes reveal shadows, and recently, Jonathan McReynolds broke his silence with a confession that stunned fans across the globe. At 35 years old, Jonathan sat before cameras and an audience that has followed his journey for years, and with tears streaming down his face, he confirmed the rumors that had circulated quietly for some time. The rumors spoke of a woman, someone who had profoundly shaped his heart and his journey. And with deep emotion, Jonathan whispered the words that echoed in the hearts of everyone listening. "She was the love of my life." For years, Jonathan's music has spoken to the brokenhearted, the searching, and those who wrestle with love, faith, and disappointment. Songs like "Make Room," "Cycles," and "Grace" carried more than melodies. They carried his testimony. Behind those lyrics, however, was a personal story of love gained and love lost, one he rarely shared with the public. Those close to Jonathan often described him as a deeply private person. While many gospel artists live their relationships in the spotlight, Jonathan guarded his personal life carefully. Yet, over time, whispers grew louder. Fans noticed certain lyrics seemed far too personal, certain performances carried weight that suggested more than just artistry, it was lived experience. So, who was the woman Jonathan called the love of my life? According to those closest to him, she wasn't a celebrity, a public figure, or someone seeking fame. Instead, she was a grounding force in Jonathan's life. Their relationship, described as both beautiful and challenging, shaped his understanding of love and heartbreak. Jonathan revealed that their story was not simple. It was marked by moments of joy and laughter, but also seasons of distance, misunderstanding, and sacrifice. Being a gospel artist at the height of fame meant constant touring, media demands, and a lifestyle that left little room for a traditional relationship. Despite his best efforts, balancing ministry, career, and personal life came at a heavy cost. Tears flowed as Jonathan admitted that walking away from her was one of the hardest decisions of his life. He explained that sometimes love isn't enough when life pulls two people in different directions. "It wasn't that I didn't love her," Jonathan shared. "It was that our worlds, as much as we tried, just couldn't fit together." His fans responded with an outpouring of compassion. Many resonated with his story, because while Jonathan may be a gospel star, his heartbreak was deeply human. For the first time, the man who often gave words of comfort through his songs became the one needing comfort himself. What made this confession even more moving was how Jonathan tied it back to his faith. He admitted that the experience tested his belief in God's plan. At times, he questioned why someone so perfect for him, someone who loved him deeply, could not remain in his life. Yet, through the pain, Jonathan shared that he learned to trust God in new ways. The heartbreak also birthed some of his most powerful songs. Listeners now understood that the raw emotion in certain verses came directly from his personal story. When he sang about cycles of disappointment or the struggle to let go of someone, it wasn't just poetry, it was his reality. But even as Jonathan shared his pain, he also offered hope. He reminded his audience that love, even when lost, has a purpose. Sometimes, God allows relationships to shape us, teach us, and prepare us for something greater. He acknowledged that this woman may no longer be part of his life, but she left a permanent mark on his heart and artistry. For Jonathan, opening up about this chapter wasn't about seeking sympathy or creating headlines. It was about being honest, about showing his fans that behind the polished performances is a man who feels deeply, struggles openly, and learns continuously. As part one of his story closes, the image of Jonathan McReynolds in tears, vulnerable, human, and transparent, remains etched in the minds of those who love his music. But the question lingers: what does this mean for Jonathan's future, both personally and musically? The aftermath of Jonathan's confession sent waves across the gospel community. Social media buzzed with discussions, prayers, and heartfelt messages of support. Many applauded Jonathan for his courage, noting that vulnerability is often the hardest step for public figures who live under constant scrutiny. In interviews following his statement, Jonathan went deeper. He admitted that for years he felt pressure to present a perfect image, one of unwavering faith, unshakable confidence, and spiritual strength. Yet, behind the scenes, he wrestled with loneliness and heartbreak just like anyone else. The woman he referred to as the love of my life represented more than just a relationship. She was his safe place, someone who knew Jonathan beyond the stage lights and record deals. Losing her, he confessed, left a void that he didn't know how to fill. "You don't just replace a love like that," he said softly. "You carry it with you, and you try to make sense of it." Fans, however, wondered, was there hope of reconciliation? Could Jonathan and this mystery woman find their way back to one another? Jonathan remained careful with his words. He did not confirm nor deny the possibility. Instead, he emphasized that his focus now was on healing, growing, and trusting God to direct his path. The honesty of his story also sparked larger conversations about love, faith, and relationships in the gospel community. Many young Christians resonated with the struggle of balancing faith with real-life romance. Jonathan's story reminded them that even people of strong faith experience heartbreak, and that loving deeply does not mean you are immune to loss. In one powerful reflection, Jonathan explained, "Sometimes, the love of your life doesn't mean the person you'll spend your life with. And that's a hard truth. But God uses every relationship to show us something about ourselves, about love, and about Him." That statement became a turning point. It wasn't just about Jonathan anymore. It became a message for anyone who had ever lost someone they loved deeply. His tears, his story, his transparency, all became a ministry in itself. On stage, Jonathan's performances have since taken on a deeper resonance. Fans note that when he sings now, there's a raw vulnerability, a depth that only comes from lived experience. His heartbreak, though painful, has given him a new dimension as an artist and minister. Privately, Jonathan continues to lean on close friends, family, and faith. Those around him describe him as healing, still tender from the loss, but more determined than ever to live authentically. He often journals, writes songs, and spends quiet time in prayer, processing the lessons of love and loss. Perhaps what is most inspiring is how Jonathan has chosen to use his platform. Instead of hiding his pain, he transformed it into testimony. Instead of pretending to be untouched by heartbreak, he embraced it as part of his journey. As his story spread, countless fans wrote letters, shared posts, and even sent prayers, thanking him for being honest. Many confessed that his words helped them process their own heartbreaks, reminding them that even when love doesn't last forever, it still has value. The mystery of who this woman was remains unsolved.